Coming up on today's episode, Tesla cuts prices across the board, the Crew Dragon launch is scrubbed, unfortunately, and we're going to talk a little bit about 3D printed organs in space. Let's get ludicrous. Hey there, and welcome to Our Ludicrous Future. This is the podcast where we talk about all the cool future stuff that's happening right now that's going to make tomorrow totally ludicrous. I'm Joe Scott with the Answers with Joe YouTube channel, and with me is not Tim Dodd, only Ben Sullins.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint, guys. It's just me, Ben Sullins, here today.
Why can't you be Tim?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Well, because I'm not smart enough. I mean, that's really why. But
wow.
And I'm clearly not cool enough to get interviews with Jim Bridenstine and Elon Musk at the same time. I mean, that's a threesome, you know, everyone's been waiting for right there.
That was a coup, yeah.
Man.
No, he was talking about like it was just him and his one camera guy, and then there was like CNN and all these like big, you know, NBC and everything.
Yep. And we can't forget about our Discordians that are here as well. Thank you guys for joining us today. If you would like to listen and watch live, which hopefully we can make that a smoother process. We've just been off camera before this for about 40 minutes trying to figure it out, but we got it. Yeah. The PC guy had to come. All you Mac people couldn't figure it out, just for the record. Okay. If you would like to, get made fun of in such a way, you can check us out at olfpod.com/Patreon. And thank you guys again for your support and for joining us.
Yeah, if you want to help us like figure out how to do this every single time, even though we've done it 86 times now, and we still have to figure it out every single time we get in here.
Here we are. And of course, our highlights channel at olfpod.com/highlights. If this is just way too much attention for you to give, which I completely understand. We're here for an hour and a half usually. Joe Rogan does 3 hours a day somehow. I don't know. There's just a lot. But you guys aren't busy. I know you're not, right? What are you doing?
I wonder what the actual retention is of information on big, long podcasts like this, because you know that people are on their computers or they're doing something in the background. Like nobody's going to sit there for 3 hours or even an hour and a half and just watch two yokels talk to each other, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's a weird thing. And I know we can see some of that. I think the average watch time on ours is about 30-something minutes. So overall, you know. Actually,
that's really good for the amount of video, yeah.
I mean, and that's basically when Tim's done talking, so that just shows us really.
Okay, Tim's done. Let's move on. Yeah.
So then, if that's the case, does that make me or you Pippin and Rodman? Which one is which here? I'm probably the Rodman.
Basketball now.
Well, I've been watching that Last Dance thing on it's on YouTube TV for me. I forget what network it was, but it's a documentary about Michael Jordan and the 97-98 season plus their whole backstory and stuff. Super fascinating. I mean, I feel like I lived it. That was like my childhood. Like I'm in Phoenix growing up watching our Phoenix Suns go up against Jordan and the Bulls, and I'm just destroying us all the time. Yeah. But it's cool to see this behind the scene thing. And then of course the memes of Jordan looking and laughing and talking crap is just great.
Somebody made a joke one time about how like it's impossible to overstate how much he just dominated the game in his prime, and now he's like a crying meme. Yeah, it's just it's a meme of him crying, and I don't even know what that's from. I don't know what happened that made him do that, but
yeah. And there's a couple crying memes because now when Kobe Bryant passed away at the ceremony for him, he was up there, and the funniest part is he was laughing about it too. He was like, I told myself I wasn't going to get up here and cry because I know you guys with those memes are just going to never let it go. Yeah, it's a way for him to stay relevant in this new world we live in. You know? Yeah.
So this isn't one of those 30 for 30 kind of.
I mean, kind of, but it's like 10 episodes or something. It's like a long. Yeah, and in every episode so far, I've only watched like 3 or 4, kind of goes into the backstory of each person. So, one episode's all about Scottie Pippen, one episode's all about Rodman, the one I just watched was all about Phil Jackson, which the world is a crazy place. Like he was a coach in Puerto Rico before he ever got to like the pros, and they were saying like when there's only like 2 teams or something back then, and one team lost to the other team, and the mayor shot a ref. You're like, holy crap! Like,
wow.
I know there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world today, but I mean, what?
So I don't follow sports very much. I used to more when I was younger, but the 30 for 30 episodes are really, really well done. Like extremely good. So that's why I was asking if it was a 30 for 30
I mean, it's that caliber, yeah.
Yeah.
And the cool part about it is they get all the people, like they have all the footage. Like it is a really well done series. If you grew up in that era, even if you didn't and you're just a fan of, I mean, yeah, it's like it's bigger than just sports, right? Sports is like in my opinion, in most ways, a dumb game where, you know, you just have a bunch of millionaires moving a ball around. But there is usually the story behind that is, in my opinion, always way more interesting. So
yeah. The 30 for 30 on Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Was mind blowing. Like he was such a beast. Like it's just hard to even put into words. Just breaking a bat over his knee like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, he was the guy in Tecmo Bowl when I was a kid, where if you were on Nintendo, if you got him, he was so fast, he would just run, and all the other teams are chasing you. You could just run around in a square on the entire football field, and no one could ever catch you. It was the best thing ever.
It was very accurate. He would do that.
I mean, it wasn't too far off.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Well,
okay,
yesterday was kind of
today?
A bummer. A little bit of a bummer. How much of it did you watch?
I had it on the TV. I was taking care of the 2 kids because Wednesdays are when Jenny works, so I'm on daddy duty all day. So on and off. The thing that got me was I thought they were going to scrub it super early in the morning because I saw some things. I don't know who they were from, but they were saying like, oh, this thing is going to become a tropical storm in an hour. But then they like continued to go through all of the motions, which like aren't trivial things, you know?
Well, if you think about it, I mean, they got nothing to lose. They can, I mean, it's more rehearsal, you know. It's just more walking through it so that when the real thing happens, it's even more rote and, you know, they don't have to think about it. But for those who don't know what we're talking about, I can't imagine how you wouldn't know. But yeah, we had the Demo2 launch that was scheduled for yesterday. So we're recording this on Thursday. It was supposed to happen on Wednesday. You're probably going to be hearing this on Friday. But it wound up being scrubbed within like 20 minutes, I think, of when they were planning on having it go up. But that's okay. We got to get it right. We want to protect our crew. But it was, I forget the term that they were using, the density of lightning in the area or something like that. The density isn't the right word, but they're like monitoring how likely it would be for lightning to strike. I think that's what they're mostly worried about. And like you said, there's a tropical storm Bertha that is actually in the Gulf, isn't it? I think it's actually in the Gulf. But anyway, yes, you know, remnants of that were like flying out around where they were launching, and it would like rain for a little bit and then it would go away, and then, you know, it didn't happen. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll get there.
And so now it's scheduled for Saturday?
Scheduled for Saturday at 3:22 Eastern. 3:22 Eastern. So hopefully we'll go up then. But it's cool. No, I watched it for a good, I think I started watching around noon my time. and of course, Tim had streamed for like 10 hours straight. I pulled it up. I forgot what happened to it here, but he had a 10-hour stream covering this thing.
That's amazing.
Oh, there it is. Oh, here, I can put this up. So I'm sharing the screen today, everybody. So you have to forgive me. I'm the amateur here when it comes to this.
Look out.
But
he's just sitting in his car.
Yeah, well, because it was raining.
Oh.
But I mean, if nothing else, it was really exciting to see this. Like, here they are getting out. Okay, Bob Benkin is a ham. You can tell. Like, every time he came up to a camera, he was like giving the thumbs up and smiling and putting on a show.
Bob and Doug, right? Yeah. Was he the guy that I remember watching him walk out prior to this section, when they first were coming out of the building after being suited up. They like one of them just wanted to keep walking, and he like stops him, And then he like looks this way, smiles, points, and then looks this way.
This
smiles.
right here.
No, that it was before that. It was like when they first got suited
when they first
up.
left the building. Okay, so this is Bob on the left and Doug on the right, and Doug was on the last space shuttle mission,
right?
That took off in 2011, which is just kind of amazing to me. Maybe this is where it is. It's a 10-hour stream, so it's kind of hard to find.
Yeah, right here.
Clicker.
Yeah, so they're coming out of the building, and they start to walk off. And right here. and as they start to just, I think Doug is like, let's just go hop in this. Let's do this. And then Bob like stops him and is like, hey, and then has like 3 poses that he has to do or whatever.
Come on.
Just let it run. It's fine. You can use your L key to jump forward 10 seconds.
Oh, secrets.
By the way, since I'm not, this isn't a sponsored video, if you guys ever wondering how to skip through some sponsored ads on a YouTube video, you just use that L key. I think the arrow key also works.
That's how we get paid.
Yeah. Go back a couple.
Okay, so what's the backwards one? K?
J.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, okay, right here. So they're coming out. They're like, hey, whatever. And then Doug's just like, all right, cool, see you later. And then Bob's like, hey.
No, he is. He loves the camera, man. It's awesome. He's like, we got to smile. We got to wave. We got to do the thing.
I mean, the thing I kept, because they're both, veteran astronauts, right? They both flown up and in space and all that stuff. I wonder if this is more or less special to them, like than their first one they went. I know they have like elevated roles and like there's their wife and kids and all that stuff, right?
Well, they're definitely getting a lot more attention than they probably ever got on the shuttle missions, because I mean, this is the first time. What is it that we've launched on a new vehicle since '81? Wow! Like the space shuttle was the last new crew vehicle that we went up in. So so they're definitely getting more attention. And the thing is, I'm sure they get schooled and what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, they get prepared for press and interviews and stuff. I mean, that's part of being an astronaut. It's not just going up into space. You got to, be the face of NASA. So they're also best friends. They were in each other's weddings and stuff.
Yeah, think about the knowledge that these guys have too, because like they're also like fighter pilots, right? Mm-hmm. Like they can go fly anything.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So they'll get to go up on Saturday, hopefully. Yeah. That's going to be really cool. And it was cool just to see like the footage inside the cockpit.
Yeah,
well, I guess it's not a cockpit, but in the capsule. Anyway, we're just watching video now. Sorry, everybody who's listening.
We're not. This is only our 86th time. Give us a break. So that got scrubbed. Tim, check out his stuff. Obviously covering it. Yeah. He's gonna hang down there for sure, assuming his car survives and doesn't die again. I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah, he's got. Well, I started to say he's got bad luck with going to Florida, but he's gone there so many times, and there's only been one. So I guess it's not too bad.
Well, let's talk about some cars since they were riding in a Model X. And Modelo X, as we would say.
So talking about them cutting some prices?
The executive wallet. No, yeah. Tesla has decided to cut prices across their lineup, with the Model 3 now starting at $37,990. By the way, you can still order the $35,000 Model 3. It still exists. It's still out there. It is limited in some ways, but it basically is the same thing as a Standard Range Plus. And then later, I understand that you can actually unlock some additional range or features or whatever for cheaper than it would be to just buy the Standard Range Plus.
Oh, funny.
So it's kind of like a little hack. I don't know if that's true now. Like, I don't know if now that's a $33,000 Model 3.
So how do you... I mean, it's like a special order kind of thing, right?
What you do is you order the Standard Range Plus, and then you call after you've got your thing set up, and you say, hey, I actually want the $35,000 Standard Range version, and they'll sell it to you. I don't know if they'll try to talk you out of it. Doesn't sound like something Tesla would do, but but that's the thing. So if you're thinking about, like, people out there thinking about wanting to do a rental fleet or something like that, where a lot of people renting them probably don't care if it's the premium thing. It's just it's cool that it's a Tesla. So Yeah, so across the lineup, they reduced the price except for the Model Y, which we'll talk about just after this. So now the Model 3 is at $37,990. Oh, okay. It's a new lower price vehicle though. Tesla. Okay, so I'm looking at the electric article. They do say that the $35,000 one is still there with fewer options. Model S long range plus now starts at $74,990, which is a $5,000 price reduction. Model S Performance also dropped by $5,000, so it's at $94,990, which yes is a tremendous amount for a car. I mean, that's a house in a lot of parts of or a condo and stuff, but it's still crazy because of how quick that car is and what you get for that.
391 miles. That's
yeah,
amazing.
391 miles. They're at the long range plus there. The performance one I think might be a little less, but yeah. And then the Model X now starts at less than $80,000, which is pretty good because it also dropped by $5,000. So cool that they're cutting prices. The question is why. Speculation. Well, I was reading, I think this was Fred that posted this, Frederick. He was saying that because they need to lower the price to sell more cars. We are officially in a recession, or, you know, not officially, but from all the economists out there, they're saying we are in one. Unemployment's crazy. The economy is all kinds of upside down right now. So it makes sense that demand is gonna drop. If you even search on Google Trends, you can see interest in Tesla has waned quite a bit. You can also just look at me crying as I check out my analytics. And so, yeah, it makes sense here. I really like that they're cutting the Model 3 price. I don't think they had $5,000 to cut off of it. Otherwise, they probably would have. They are definitely getting into the everyman's car territory now, though, with the lower prices and for what they offer. You know, especially if you look at the total cost of ownership.
Yeah. So the long range is the one that I got, and mine was 57, and it's down to 40, basically 47 now. So it's gone down $10,000.
Yeah, in what, 2 years? Year and a half?
2 years, basically 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's significant. You don't think it has anything to do with maybe more battery supply now?
What do you mean? Like
like the cost of batteries has gone down, so the cost of the cars are starting to go down.
Well, and also, you know, remember Tesla's mission is to advance the transition to sustainable energy, and so by making things that are in line with that, electric cars being a big one, cheaper, more people can access them. So they've actually done this quite a bit. And I think a video I did not too long ago, I had a chart because someone tracked it. So in a Google Sheets, you could actually see over time. And yeah, it spiked up a little bit. And then, yeah, it's basically just consistently been going down. If you remember, there was like a weird time where they did a bunch of this and it really pissed a lot of people off. Like they bought a car yesterday and it was $5,000 cheaper today. Yeah. And they wouldn't let them return it. Or they were like, oh yeah, go ahead, but then we're going to it'll take 90 days for you to get your money back. And you're like, what the, like, you mean I have to like pay this loan for 90 days? Like, what the hell? Like it was a big, so, but that's what happens. Now, this also hurts existing owners, which sucks. Like you said, the car is now new. Now yours is all-wheel drive?
No.
Right. So you have the rear-wheel drive.
Yeah. In fact, I don't think they make my specific model anymore.
Correct. Well, they make it in China, right? Because I mean, you have the same one. But the deal is now that brand new all-wheel drive version, so, you know, arguably even better, is $10,000 cheaper than when you bought yours.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was an all-wheel drive. Wow. Yeah.
So, and as someone that's selling a Model 3 right now, I can tell you the depreciation is bad. It's not holding its value at all. Because I got mine even earlier, and I believe mine was over $60,000 when I bought it. But it's really bizarre because if you look on the Tesla website, they are selling basically my car for $47,000 to $49,000, but a lot of other people out there are looking at it like, oh no way, $30,000, and you're like, dude, that's terrible depreciation for the Model 3 here. So I'm going to do a final cost analysis whenever I do sell it, and we're looking at it, and I think it's going to upset a lot of people, but my job isn't to be a Tesla apologist or fanboy channel. My job is to bring the data, and that's what I'm going to do. And it's not looking very good right now. And this certainly hurts depreciation or resale on all
not
of the cars.
looking good in terms of depreciation is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's bad, which is always the biggest expense. So if you look at true cost of ownership, depreciation is always the one that is the biggest number there. Because maintenance, repairs, fuel, taxes, fees, financing, interest, blah, 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 all the other stuff, it's peanuts. Usually it's, I bought it for 60 grand and I sold it for 30. So yeah, that's the biggest cost there. And this, every time Tesla does this, existing cars drop in value, right? Now, if you're going to keep it forever, like I'm sure you are because that's you, but for me, someone that's like, I'm going to be buying and selling these for a long time, this just hurts. It sucks, but whatever. It's the business and life I chose, and I got to live with it, so it's fine.
The depreciation life, you didn't choose it; it chose you.
I'm not complaining about it. I think it's just a part of it, but I'm just saying
I'm mixed because
it's something to think about.
Of course, I want the prices to go down, and I want more EV adoption and everything, and that's all, on a macro scale, a very good thing. But I mean, it is kind of like whoa, somebody's getting a better car for $10,000 less than what I paid, 2 years ago. Yeah,
and remember Tim too, because his was like, it was something where like he paid $5,000 extra for something, and then a month later that thing was now free.
Oh,
and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And they were like, we'll give you free supercharging, or we'll give you this, or we'll give you that. They kind of like, we're trying to, make it up to them. And it's hard, man. If there were, this seems like a rather arbitrary price drop, I guess is what it comes down to. If there were, hey, we now have new Model 3s that have these new features, and the older Model 3s are now cheaper. That to me would be like, that makes sense. Like the new iPhone comes out, the existing iPhone inventory that they still have drops in price. Because why would I buy that one? Well, you better give me a financial reason to,
So it's unfortunate because honestly, part of the reason why I got this car, one of the reasons why I thought I was smart for getting this car, was that it was something that was gonna, kind of last a long time and probably uphold its value better than possibly some others. Because I figured, the software updates, it can improve over time, of course, but like you just said, I'm somebody that keeps a car for a really long time. So over 5 years or 7 years, it's probably going to get a lot more out of it. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to see when you do all your numbers, when you add up like the cost of electricity versus gas and all that, what it's going to come around to. I mean, I knew that the price of the car was going to go down over time, and I was fine with that. I wanted to be part of the whole movement and whatnot, and I wanted to experience electric cars, and I can afford it for now anyway. But it's interesting.
Yeah, so it's good and bad, right?
Yeah.
Well, as to why they did it could be a demand thing. It sounds like that would make sense with the economy kind of in the toilet. Yeah. It makes sense that you would lower prices because demand is going to be lower. So now one model they didn't lower the price on though is the Roadster. No, of course the the Model Y. And I happened to pick up my Model Y 2 days, 3 days, 3 days ago. God, I don't even know. What day is it?
It was Saturday, wasn't it? No,
it was supposed to be Saturday, and then I got that fabled text. Oh, it's actually not here yet. So I, was getting a Rich Rebuilds runaround kind of a deal. And so they apparently didn't show up yet. It was supposed to arrive Saturday night, and then Sunday they're closed, and then Monday was a holiday. So Tuesday, that's a day in the week.
But you got it.
That's when I got it. So here she is. You can see her on the screen.
Do we have a name?
We do not have a name. It's Jenny's car.
So she gets to name it.
She's leaning towards Yonsei.
You probably don't want your
license plate? No, it's fine.
Probably don't want your license plate on there.
No, you can do it. Because Bill Clinton signed a Driver Privacy Act in 1995 that prevents that from being a thing.
But, of course I knew that.
Yeah.
Everybody watching this knows that.
Yeah. No, it is funny whenever you see license plates blurred out because it's like, yeah, it's, hasn't been a thing for 20 something years.
Well, then I won't worry about it.
Yeah, so here she is. We'll call her Yonsei for now. Why not? That's Jenny's, what she's leaning towards.
Something
very
about this
Model
picture,
3
it almost
looking.
looks like a computer rendering. I think it's the
camera,
headlights.
the Ultra HDR. Yeah, I'm still mixed about the camera on my OnePlus 8 Pro. It's still not like the Google Pixel is fantastic, but the bugginess of it sucks. I've always had issues. The OnePlus, I love the phone, but the cameras, even in the newest one, are like, I still can't figure out how to make it like just a clean, normal picture. It's always like way oversaturated or way bizarre or whatever. Yeah, so this... Okay, there are about two issues I found.
Is there a little
with
thing
this car
there that I'm seeing?
Well, what we're showing on the screen now is the charge port is completely out of alignment. As you can see, it like sticks way out. Yeah, and I think there's another one with me sticking my finger in there, so you could. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, go back one. So, okay, so delivery, and I have a video coming out on this very soon, was pretty smooth. This was a touchless delivery. For me, it was fine. For somebody that this is their first Tesla and maybe just has seen some videos online, I can't imagine this being a good experience. Because it's literally like, oh, hey, yeah, you're here to pick up the Model Y. Cool, it's over there. All the documents and stuff are inside. Honk if you need anything. Otherwise, sign the documents, bring them up, and then have a good day. That's literally it. And so for me, it's fine because I know the car, and this is our third Tesla or fourth Tesla or whatever. So. But for someone that's coming from like a regular gas car, I'm sure they're like, wait, how do I even open the door? How do I do anything? So me and Jenny kind of talked through that in detail in the, and you can see it in the video coming out on this.
Well, I guess they do have those tutorial videos. Yeah. In the car. So like if they just had a sheet of paper, maybe they did, but if they just had a sheet of paper that's like, click here and there, and you can watch all the tutorials that shows you how the car works.
Or if you came in, you sat in, and it was already programmed. Hi, Joe. Welcome to your new Tesla.
Actually, that'd be really cool. Works. That would be like...
by the way, there's an interior camera and microphone, so it's not like they couldn't... I mean, they could even make it like real-time AI. I'd imagine, you could do some deep fake with Elon's face. Maybe Elon's there. I don't know. Yeah, so the only real issue I had was there were little paint nicks here and there, but not a big deal. But the charger door was completely out of alignment. And so, yeah, so I'll be talking about that in the video.
Get fixed?
Yeah, and this is kind of the annoying thing is, I text them that I didn't notice it right there at the delivery, but afterwards I took it to my buddies at Elite Finish because it's getting paint protection film and a bunch of stuff on it.
Is that what these pics are?
Yeah. So, but as I took it there, they were like, dude, what's up with this charger door? I'm like, oh man. And the delivery people said, oh, you have up to 100 miles to decide if you want to keep it. And I just texted them back because they were doing it all over text. And I said, hey, this charger door is out of alignment, whatever. And they're like, cool. Yeah, it's a warranty item. Go ahead, schedule that through service. I'm like, I should just be able to bring this back to you right now and have you fix it. It'll take 10 minutes. It shouldn't be something that I have to like go through the app and do all these 15 steps and then wait for someone to do. Like, it's just a bad service. It's a bad experience, really, if you think about it. Like if I were buying a Prius off the line, I'm like, hey, this gas can thing is what's up with this? They would just grab a mechanic from the thing over there, have them come out and look at it. It's not like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like if Tesla wants to deliver and sell cars to not just the tech bros that are the Tesla apologists, but like just normal people, they're going to have to up that. And I know Elon has said it before that, service is his top priority. Well, either he failed at that or it's not happened yet. You know what I mean? He switched gears and drew a Cybertruck or something.
So you go way back. I'm kind of wondering if your experience has been colored a little bit by the fact that like when you first got your car, it was like a big service thing and they had a big bow on top and they made a big production out of it. Yeah. And over time it's become like, yeah, your car's out there, go get it.
That's exactly how it is.
Like I wonder if that's part of like why it's so like for you right now.
Yeah, a little bit. Certainly it was not a very pleasurable experience. you know, it wasn't something I mean, I don't know. It literally was like, yo, your car's over there. Just let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm not trying to apologize for him or anything, but I mean, there's also the whole, you know, COVID
the
thing
context. Yeah. Well, even with the Model 3, we felt that way. Because, yeah, when we got our first car, first off, it was a used one. And, yeah, we go in. We're the only people there. There's a giant bow on it. They had 2 people there that were there for an hour with us to go through everything, set up our phones, get everything connected. Like, it was really, I understand that that's not sustainable, really. But and then the Model 3 one was actually a bit better. How they delivered Model 3s, it would take, I think, 15 or 20 minutes for each person to do a delivery. And then now, I don't think this is really sustainable the way they're doing it, but I think it's more of a factor of the COVID stuff. I don't think it's a factor of how they want to be doing it. Yeah. So
I mean, I kind of wonder how different it is at a regular dealership now. You know. Oh,
right. Yeah, you still have to go sit in the finance manager's office for an hour and a half to have them sell you.
It's just everybody's in masks.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyways, we got our Model Y, name pending, you know, current name.
But you already got the film on it, and it's like you're driving it around now?
Yeah, oh, no, I don't have it right now. So go ahead and pop that back on the screen if you can. There were some interesting things that we learned. So I took it to Elite Finish. They're doing paint protection film. What else are they doing? Ceramic coating. Actually, the paint protection film has ceramic coating in it now, so it's just a one-shot deal. Yeah, there you go. So on the screen, we're seeing some guys put it on the hood. And one of the interesting things, if you go back one picture there, the emblem on the Model Y actually has holes that go into the car now on the front and the back, whereas the Model 3, they were just double-sided tape. It was just double-sided tape that stuck on there. Yeah. So if you wanted to like remove it entirely on the Model 3, you could. Or if you wanted to change it out, it was really easy. Here, you have to cover up these holes or do body work, like literally fill that in with some kind of metal and repaint it and whatever. Like I mean, some people will do it, I'm sure, but to me, it's like way too much work. But that was just an interesting note of how they changed that. And ironically, like this I don't quite get from a design perspective, but it's kind of cool or kind of interesting. If you go back to the front shot or the back shot, anyone where you can see the Tesla, yeah, right there. So they come now with a chrome delete. It's not actually chrome delete, but it's like black trim instead of the chrome, except for the Tesla logos on the front and back. For some reason, those are not blacked out. Those are chrome. So we're having to black those out just to match because that was kind of a weird. But I don't know. It was just something. Oh, and then I'm going to remove that dual motor badging. I just don't like it. And to make that blacked like the rest of them would be annoying. It'd be actually a lot of work, they said, because they actually have to order a Model 3 one and then paint the Model 3 one and then put it on there. It's just like, forget it, dude. Like, yeah.
Just get a magic marker. Just get a Sharpie.
I've seen people do that. Yeah. You can chop it. You know, you can do a hack job. It's fine. So there she is.
I mean, it's a nice looking car, though. I like the wheels.
Yeah, those are the 20-inch induction wheels.
And those come with the car.
No, those were an upgrade.
But I mean, those aren't like custom wheels. Those are an option.
Correct. Yeah, you've got the regular aero wheels. I don't know what they're called. And then these guys for the non-performance ones. And then the performance ones get the Uber turbine wheel.
Uber turbine.
Yeah. Yeah. And the tires on this, actually, they're these Goodyear, I forget, but they're like kind of a very standard tire. So even though this is a 20-inch wheel, I expect to get good range out of this. So I'm definitely going to do a range test soon. But there she is. Yeah. Oh, also something really interesting. I mean, it's funny. Just these little details. Like we get in at Jenny's first comment. She was like, whoa, this is so different than the Model 3. That was the first thing she said. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Because I felt like it was identical. Yeah. But little tiny things everywhere. Yeah. So like the emblem there, the little cameras for the side cameras, they no longer have the Tesla T on them. Oh. So on the front of them for the Model 3, they have it, but on this one, they don't. Things like that. You're like, what? Why did they do? Okay, that's cool. That's interesting.
That's something I don't even think I would notice.
Yeah, I mean,
or maybe my subconscious would be like, something's different. What is it?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's why those guys at Elite Finish, it's always funny because I take the car and I'm like, it's perfect. And they're like, what the hell is all this? Yeah, so we pulled this image here, we pulled those because they're doing the paint protection film. And so they pulled the cameras off, and one of them had all this white, I don't know what you want to call that. It looks like some battery stuff or some, it probably was some kind of sealant or some soap they used on the car when they were painting it or something like that.
I figured it was grease or something.
Yeah, but the camera works fine. It was weird when I was first driving it because the cameras weren't calibrated, so I couldn't do autopilot. It took me a little while. I'm like, why isn't it letting me do autopilot? And then it had this little logo, and I'm like, oh, that's what it's the steering wheel, and it has like a little dial going.
Right.
And anyways.
Well, I remember when I got my Model 3 that I had to drive it for a good 30 minutes or so before it would, to calibrate it. Like it had to get set up.
But this one has full self-driving, so I can test out all those kind of fun things like the stopping at stoplights, which I am not excited to test. I'm just happy other people have tested this so I don't have to really. That's kind of how I feel about it.
There's a guy that I follow named Emmett Short, who does some technology stuff. If nobody's heard of him, he's worth checking out. But he's got a full self-driving Model 3, and when they rolled out that stoplight function on there, he tested it, and it looks like it stops even if it's green. Like you have to override it. Like it starts to slow down when it comes up to a stoplight, and you have to override it to make it go on through, according to his video anyway. But
it's too smart. It's too smart.
I mean, it's cool that they can do it, I guess.
Yeah, but yeah, if you did run a red light and get into an accident, you might need a new organ. How would you get that? But from space, of course.
Sure. Why not? So yeah, I thought I would talk about that today because watching all the stuff yesterday for the Crew Dragon launch. In several of the interviews that I saw with Jim Bridenstine, including Tim's, he talked about 3D printing organs in space. And I was like, okay, what is he talking about? What is this? I have to find out. So I took a look at it, and it's a company called TechShot. So, basically the ISS is just a floating science lab in space. And that's a lot of what they send up on the Crew or the Cargo Dragon and the Cygnus, and they send up science experiments that people put together, and they test it out because it's the only science lab in the world, or out of this world. It's not in the world, it's out of this world. Such a dad joke. But it's the only science lab that has microgravity, where they can test the effects of zero gravity and different things. So this is a company called, what did I just say, TechShot? And the thing is called the 3D Biofabrication Facility. It's a 3D printer capable of manufacturing human tissue.
It's the BFF.
It's the BFF. And in fact, that's their little slogan, or their mission logo right there. It's like a heart, and it's writing BFF on a little Valentine's candy, if you can see that. But yeah, so here's the deal. Here, I was like, why is this a thing? Well, they explain that if you were trying to manufacture tissue, you basically have to use different kinds of cells and layer them on top of each other. Because you might have like a muscle cell and then a skin cell. It's probably not exactly the right terminology there, but the point is, in order to make that happen here on Earth in a gravity environment, you have to do it inside sort of a scaffold so that it can keep them from intermixing with each other, because otherwise they just kind of puddle together into a pile of goo. And the scaffolding is it's like little micro nano manufacturing and whatnot. So to do this in space, though, with no gravity, you don't have to worry about it all smushing together into a puddle of goo. You can just put one layer on top of the other, and they don't intermix because there's no gravity forcing it to intermix. So by doing that, they can print human tissue by using like stem cells and pluripotent stem cells and mixing it all together. It's pretty freaking cool, and I can see why Jim Bridenstine's gotten so excited about it.
And so you'd print like a liver.
I mean, we're not there yet, but that's kind of the idea. so that went up in July of last year, 2019. This BFF. It's kind of hard to say that and not laugh. And they brought it back in January of this year, on a return mission, and they were able to successfully. I'm just see if I can find where it was, but they were able to 3D print basically like 3 inches by 2 inches. So not. I mean, it's an experiment still, but the idea is that, I mean, if it was a success is the thing. So they were able to prove out the idea of being able to print out human tissue in a microgravity environment. So to expand on this further on down the road, possibly, who knows, you might be able to have a floating, so there it is right there. That's the tech shot. That's the BFF.
Yeah, has the heart on it.
Yeah. I mean, imagine though, I mean, they might be able to have a whole lab up in space being able to 3D print different organs using different types of blood types that would not be rejected by people, or even using, samples of somebody's stem cells that could go up and that would make sure that their body wouldn't reject it. We're not there yet, but that's exciting technology,
Yeah. I wonder, because
I'll just read this
what I see is the economics of it, right? Where like, yeah, of course, Elon Musk is the only person that could afford this. You know what I mean?
Well, but that's the thing is like, this actually ties in a little bit. There's a video I've been working on. It's not coming out on Monday or anything, but it's in the works. That's basically about how to become an astronaut. Like, if you wanted to be an astronaut, how could you? What are the requirements for that? And of course, it went down like serious rabbit holes of the fact that the reason why Crew Dragon going up is such a big deal is because we've only had one ride to space this whole time, and that's through Russia. And there's a national pride thing associated with that, which is why you've seen so much chest thumping and Launch America and patriotism around this whole thing. And that's, it's fine. But really the bigger thing is we're now going to have another ride to space. And then once Starliner gets up there, we're going to have 3 rides to space. And once they get Orion going, we could have possibly 4 rides to space, especially to the moon. And then Sierra Nevada, possibly with their Dream Chaser, we could have 5. I mean, so the cost of getting human beings into space is going to go down. And then there's also the heavy lift capacity of things like the Starship and the New Glenn, that are going to be able to get up big, huge, space construction projects. There's no reason to think that we couldn't have either a module on the ISS or a standalone lab. Might not even need any humans on it. That could, you could send up cargo to.
It docks. It prints a bunch of organs. They come back down.
Sends it back down. I mean, it's not going to be cheap, but if that's the only way to do it, it's cheaper than figuring out how to, undo gravity down here on Earth. It's interesting.
Apparently the guys at Area 51 have figured that out. So
Well, that would be the ultimate thing. If we really could figure out gravity and could figure out how to like counteract gravity. Well, of course, then we'd have flying cars and everything.
There's a great, is it a Daniel Suarez book? It's a book I read, not called Change Agent, but they talked about that where there's like this, maybe it is called Change Agent, and there's there's actually in the world a bureau of something that is withholding crazy, wild technologies from the rest of us because it would force us into panic and we wouldn't know how to deal with it. And the book starts off with some guys in a lab that discover what they call a gravity mirror, which you would think of as like an anti-gravity thing where, you could like just float forever because it's not like something that requires power. It's like you just figured out a way to organize bits and to counteract the existing gravity enough to do whatever you wanted to do. And the minute they discover it, a team of like SWAT guys raids the thing, and one of the guys just wakes up later like, what the hell happened? And he's in this weird place with all this weird stuff happening. And anyways, it was just a lot of, it's sci-fi, so it's kind of wild and crazy, but one of the interesting bits was just about like gravity is something that we really have no control over whatsoever. Like if you think about like we can shield ourselves from, you know, gamma rays and stuff like that. And we can deal with like so many natural elements and parts of the universe, but gravity is just one we just have no answer for. I mean, propellant and blowing stuff out of the back of a rocket is fine, but there's not like we can harness solar energy and do something with it, right? We don't have much to do with gravity. It's just, it is what it is.
Gravity is, it's like the first scientific principle that you understand as a kid, that what goes up must come down. Like it's the first thing that you kind of can grasp, and yet it's the one thing that we still have no clue how it works. Right,
exactly. You're like, okay.
It's like the biggest mystery in science. Why does mass attract to mass? We still don't know.
Well, that's the concept of free energy, right? Where if you could figure that out, you could essentially just use gravity as a source of energy. If you could harness gravity in some way, that you would have unlimited energy for anywhere you were in the world.
Yeah.
Or not even in the world, but even traveling through space, right? Like as you approach a new planet, like you could harness its gravity to refuel or something like that. Yeah. So things like that. I mean,
it's funny how like in all these sci-fi movies, it's always, you know, like hoverboards and flying cars that just kind of like just levitate and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like we've seen it so much that we're like, why don't we have this?
Yeah.
You know, but they never really explain how that tech works in those worlds.
Yeah. Well, like, that's the Bob Lazar thing, the Area 51 UFO stuff. The way he described it was, it didn't, this flying saucer deal he had wasn't, you know, and obviously take whatever grain of salt you want along with this, but the way he described it was, it didn't have fuel and propellant. It was a gravity device. And so when it wanted to go somewhere, it flipped its belly in that direction and then would fall in that direction.
Right.
Was how they described it. And that's fascinating to me. Yeah. Because if you could control gravity, you could do anything like that. You know, you want to fly? Sure. Whatever. No big deal. You know?
So if you had if it was a flying car kind of situation, you would basically create a gravity well above the car. And the car
to have
would
it
float.
go up.
Yeah.
It would fly up and then, kind of like how a helicopter uses propellers to, you know, push itself off the ground and all that.
I want it.
One day.
Maybe Skunkworks is working on that.
You know, I don't even need stuff that advanced. I just want an electric pickup. That's all I want. I'm sick of having an extra car in my driveway just to go pick up wood. You know,
so what's the deal with
I'm
Rivian?
Happy. It's coming.
Is there even a date yet?
It was supposed to be, I think, fall of this year, right?
Oh, really?
If anyone's in, I believe so. But then, now, and they're very. You know, it's funny. I think a lot of companies like Rivian, Lucid, maybe in other regards. Although Lucid's like, if you embrace YouTubers, then YouTubers talk good about you, right? If you don't, then they talk bad about you. So I think you see a lot of these Tesla fanboy channels out there really hating on Rivian because they're not giving them backstage access, because they're not being like what Tesla is, where they're fully embrace.
Have you seen a lot of hate toward Rivian?
You see, you see people talking crap about what they're doing, and then Cybertruck comes out, and all the hardcore fanboys that have the blinders on are like, yeah, see, that thing's gonna suck. This thing's 39,000, and you're just like, dude, you're really missing the point that we need lots of different EVs for lots of different people for lots of different reasons. So you see that, you see people hating on them, and I think if they were more open and, having events and having test rides and just generally communicating more openly about what they're doing, because it's hard, like when you don't know in the EV space, the default is it's vaporware. It's not real. Even Tesla was very much that way in the early days. Even the first Model S was very much, I think Franz talked about it, like the hood was held on by magnets because they hadn't built, literally if you went and touched the thing, it would fall over. And so I think when people see Rivian and you can't drive it, you don't have the access. I think the default in this industry has always been this cynicism and skepticism around oh, well then it's not real. So, but the $2 billion, whatever they got from Jeff Bezos, seemed pretty real. So,
yeah,
that's
my point. It's just like, I just want to hear how they're coming along. Like, is there a date when they're going to start actually production? It's funny you mentioned Bezos. It's almost a corollary between SpaceX and Blue Origin. SpaceX is literally just like out in a field somewhere where anybody can just, put up a camera and watch what they're doing. And Blue Origin's like in this big blue building where you can't see anything. And every once in a while there's a little tease. And going back to the whole being an astronaut video I'm working on, there's the new Shepard. They have tested that 12 times.
Right.
They've built 4 different new Shepards. And they still haven't started actually putting people on it or anything. And it's like,
now,
what are you waiting for?
Have they really launched it? I've seen it. This is one that just goes off the ground and comes down like 300 meters or something, right?
No, it's suborbital, so it goes up to
okay.
100 kilometers or so, or 80 or something like that. But no, yeah, they've tested it 12 times. They've tested the launch escape system. I don't know what else there is to test. I mean, I'm not trying to be all Dunning-Kruger here or anything and talking about something I don't really know about, but it's like, what is the holdup here,
Let's light this candle, right?
Yeah, and so it's kind of, I'm seeing the same kind of thing with Rivian. They're very secretive. They don't really show very much. We have no idea when they're actually going to come out, and it's just kind of like, come on.
I wonder if it's a fear that these companies have, because not everyone has as thick a skin as Elon when it comes to the hate that you receive when you say something people don't like, or you have an original thought, like, God help you if you don't agree with the mass on something. So I could see why there's a desire to just shut it out and do your work. But I don't know. I mean, so there's something very valuable about like what SpaceX and Tesla have done, obviously. And I think maybe that's the misnomer, is that in today's world, there is a tremendous value on the brand itself. And Tesla is the most perfect example of that. Apple's another one, right? Apple could start making whatever and you'd have, flocks of people just saying it's the greatest thing ever. Like, I remember there was a funny Samsung commercial where they were like, they put the headphone jack on the other side. Oh, revolutionary. And like, that's how the Apple fanboys are. That's how the Tesla fanboys are, right? They do something and you're like, this is the best thing ever. And it's like, well, actually, like Volvo came out with that in 2009. I mean, but
it's not who does it first, it's who does it best.
Right. There's always an explanation for whatever. But so, but because Tesla has, and Apple and a lot of these other companies have these super strong followings, I think it just sets them up for success on a level that these other, like, it's much harder, So like Blue Origin, they better deliver because there's not the following like SpaceX has.
Could you make the argument, though, that the reason they have those followings is because they're so transparent?
That's what I'm saying.
And they give people something to like rally behind and get excited about, and like there's like always something new to sort. I mean, like the fact that there's literally like 3 or 4 channels I can think of right off the top of my head, YouTube channels, that all they do is cover Starship updates. Yeah, because there's just always something new to talk about.
That's exactly what I'm saying, is like. Yeah. Because Tesla and SpaceX are how they are, they have this rabid following, which I think propels them. Like, it probably does not hurt at all when you go to a negotiating table with NASA for a major contract to be this darling of space company of the world, right? It clearly has some value in those conversations. Even if someone else is doing a better thing, like Tesla, I'm sure, has landed some big deals, probably more on the energy side, but like landed major deals with utilities that really could give a crap that it's Tesla. They just want the cheapest and best thing it's all, money when it comes down to it for these guys. But because it's Tesla and because everybody wants to feel special, there's definitely, I'm sure, a few contracts or a few things that maybe went their way, mostly because of the brand. I think the brand translates to real dollars in a lot of ways. And so that's what I'm saying. Anyone else coming out in this space, like a Rivian, like, you better deliver. You better deliver something really compelling, because otherwise people are just going to, just tear you apart in the media.
Yeah.
Because you haven't played ball with them, right?
Yeah. No, God, Elon is just such a complex and interesting guy. There's so many things that I disagree with him on, but you can't argue the results, you know. And he's definitely a showman, and he understands the value of creating excitement. I mean, as Tian just mentioned in Discord, that like, you know, his overarching goal is to inspire public excitement and shift sentiment towards space, you know, and he knows how to do that.
Yeah.
So all other things aside, he's really good at that.
The one thing I feel hopefully is a good outcome, although I know it won't be because of the internet, but
just the internet.
The one thing I would like to put my blinders on and be hopeful for, we'll say it that way, is that Elon is someone, that has and continues to inspire millions of people around the world to, you know, pursue these things and to advance technology in a meaningful way, I'll say. Not like Snapchat filters, which are useless, like things that are actually
general, Snapchat,
valuable in the world. Yeah. But then he goes and says things and does things that completely cuts against the grain of a lot of those folks. And hopefully, my hope is that people will open up a bit to see that, oh, I don't have to agree with a person or an issue or a thing entirely. I can look at someone like Elon and be like, he's great at this and I love him for this, and he's completely wrong about this and I hate him for that. Like, he's a complex person. He's not a caricature that was designed by a PR company. And I think if we could do that, maybe we could start to crack this identity tribalism issue that we have in society of people being like, here's an issue, I either am vehemently opposed to it and I hate it with my entire being, or it is who I am. It's what defines me. Things are more complex, you know? And so maybe a good outcome of Elon tweeting support for Trump and all this other stuff he's been doing as like, it cracks open that, oh, okay, well, I completely disagree with you, but I love you over here, and that's okay. It breaks that facade of like, you have to be binary. You can be hex, or I don't know what that
hexenary.
Yeah. You can go ASCII here. You don't have to be binary.
Oh, nerd.
Yeah.
I've seen a meme that's gone around, and I am as guilty of this as anybody, but it's basically saying that, you know, we were brought up being taught that we shouldn't talk about politics, but what we should have been taught was how to talk about politics in a respectful way.
Yeah.
You know, like that, if there's anything we should be able to talk about, it's politics, because that's what, you know, kind of runs things and decides policy and whatnot. But we've gotten into this whole, like, if somebody doesn't 1000% agree with my way of looking at things, then they're enemy of the people or something, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that was a nice little rant. Now, I started to pivot to this when you were talking about your Model Y earlier. I was going to say, well, if you don't like your Model Y, you can always get a Dyson car. Yes. Oh, wait, no, you can't.
Well, I can. He's going to make one for me, he said.
Just for you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this came out the other day. I thought it was worth just at least showing, because we were talking about it once before. But, you know, Dyson was working last year on doing their own electric car with a solid-state battery, which was kind of an important distinction. They called it off in October, but just this last week, they kind of revealed what they were working on here. It's got some giant wheels on it. What were they saying? Like, it's like the biggest wheels.
Why would you do that? I mean, I guess for styling.
Yeah, probably. But
and
he was supposed to get 600 miles per charge. And I'm guessing that they actually had the batteries, the solid state batteries on there. So there's the picture of it for those who are watching on YouTube. I mean, it's kind of an SUV. It's supposed to seat 7 comfortably. But this picture has no roof on it. Yeah,
probably just the prototype stuff.
I guess so. But like you see the chair, it's got kind of like a lollipop headrest.
Yeah.
Weird,
I'm sure they would have done tremendous with all those things. They seem really great at these material design things, you know, like making a chair or something. I'm sure they're great at that.
So it's saying what was it? Cost
It's 150,000 pounds. Oh my God.
Yeah, so in
You
dollars,
lost
it'd be
me.
about 170, 100, maybe closer to 200.
Because that's what we need.
Well, it's
We need
Dyson.
more.
They charge that much for a vacuum cleaner.
That's true. But their vacuum cleaners are great, though.
200
Yeah.
kilowatt hour or kilowatt electric motors.
Okay, electric motors. Okay, so there's 536 horsepower, 480 pound-feet of torque. Yeah, man, 2,600 kilogram weight. Whoo!
Yeah.
It's a beast. 0 to 6,200 kilometers in 4.8 seconds. That's not fast, dude. I mean, that's quick, fine, compared to a Camry.
Yeah.
But in the electric car space, you're not even in the talks of being a quick vehicle. Not that you need that, but if you're selling to me for $200,000, it better blow the doors off a Model S, and that's not even close.
I don't know. Maybe it had some other. Didn't seem to have any kind of.
I saw a funny.
I guess it does.
And maybe again, this is my cynical view of EVs, but yeah, like I think James Dyson, for his brilliant and all the good stuff he's done in the world and like innovation and stuff, all really fascinating. I think you did a video on him, and I was like, wow. So tons of respect, admiration for him.
Yeah.
But marketing, let's just say, is not his strong suit, because the playbook, if people are wondering, is you Photoshop together a version of this. You tease those images out. Everyone in the EV space gets hyped, starts making videos, starts tweeting, starts writing blog articles, just woo. Then you make a prototype, not even a prototype, you make a concept car that's like a bespoke one-off, doesn't even drive. It just like looks like it. And you do super high quality, sexy B-roll shots. And then you release that with some really inspiring, futuristic stuff. Then you have a prototype car that you do an unveiling and you start taking reservations. Now you have $100 million to go build the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's before you figured out solid-state batteries. That's before the hard stuff,
Well, they partnered with, and I would like to actually follow up a little bit on this group. I think they're out of Michigan. They were called Sachi 3, or I'm probably murdering the name. But that's who actually was making their solid-state batteries. And they supposedly, they claim to have had some technological breakthrough in solid-state that facilitated all this. But I really would like to do a follow-up on that.
Did you see the Samsung thing? Did we talk about it on here? Because Samsung announced a couple months ago now that they have a solid-state battery for EVs.
I remember hearing about it. I don't think we talked about it, though.
Like, it's ready. It's ready to roll. And I think it was 900 watt-hours per liter, I think. Which a 1 liter is the same weight as a kilogram, so I don't know why they don't say kilograms. But because Tim was arguing with me that it was how many, like the space of a thing, not the weight of it. I don't know. But Samsung did talk about that, and they said now if they could do 900 watt-hours per kilogram or liter, whatever, then I think you get towards double the amount of a range of current. Because currently it's like 250, maybe close to 300, but that's without the pack and the modules and all the other stuff that adds weight to it. But yeah, I mean, I would guess we'll see this in about 3 to 5 years from Samsung. Tesla Battery Day, which who knows when that's coming. Yeah. They may have something different. I don't know. It sounds like solid state is still the way to go, though. I haven't heard something else that's like, oh, this is definitely better.
It seems like that's where everybody's going or wanting things to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one says that they had a silver carbon composite layer as an anode, an AGC layer. And that produced 900 watt-hours per liter.
Right.
Approximately 50% smaller by volume than a conventional lithium ion. Yeah.
And I'm all for the blockbuster kind. I don't know what you call it. Is there a name for like the roadsters of the world? These like
hypercars.
Yeah, but you know, they're kind of like the pissing contest version of an EV. You know, like they're not really made for people; they're just made to show off.
Yeah,
and I'm
hardcore
for that.
smackdown, I think was Elon's word.
But I think there's genius in that. That is the brilliance of Elon with Tesla. Really, it's to show. It's not. I mean, it's you work into the $20,000 electric car.
Yeah,
because that one clearly is going to suck compared to the $250,000 one. Like, it better. So you work into that, but you know, where is that going to go? Like, so if you had a 2 to 3x battery capacity, do you make 1,000-mile EV? Hell yeah, you do. Just to say you could do it. But then, you know, what you do is you just make the 300-mile one still, but you make them for, you know, a third of the price.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we'll see some of that on Battery Day, because I think that's far more important to climate change and, you know, the environment stuff than having these, you know, measuring appendages.
Measuring sexual organs.
Yeah. Yep.
That's true. Well, we got it. Why don't they just? Want to just jump into that?
Let's see it.
Did you have another story I didn't know about?
No, that was it.
Okay. So, I actually saw this on the Twitter. The Twitster,
Twits.
and it's from a name there's no way I'll get this right. Jacob Polasek. There's weird markings over the letters, which means I can't pronounce it.
Hakub.
That's what that means. But anyway, yeah, he said, why don't they just create orbital tax for companies to pay per satellite or used orbit per year? And he links to this. He's basically saying, why don't they tax people to have satellites up in space? And he linked to this article here from phys.org. It's all about space junk, really. The idea that, I mean, there's actually, I received a book from somebody the other day, and I think his name was Christopher, and I'm sorry if you listen to this and I got your name wrong, but he wrote a book about the Kessler syndrome, which is the idea that, you know, two satellites could collide in space and create thousands of pieces of debris flying 25 times as fast as a bullet, and then they wind up smashing up all the other satellites to the point that we can't leave Earth anymore. That's the Kessler syndrome. So space junk is a problem, and there's lots of different people talking about ways to alleviate that problem. But yeah, this one is basically saying, why don't we charge satellite providers a tax for having their satellites up there, basically incentivizing them to bring them back down and not just leave them up. So I guess there's an argument to be made there. It's saying orbital use fees would increase the long-run value of the space industry, according to Matthew Burgess, a Cirrus Fellow and co-author of this paper, and says that by reducing future satellite and debris collision, an annual fee rising to about $235,000 per satellite would quadruple the value of the satellite industry by 2040. I don't know how that works.
Well, I love the idea of using financial or economic tools, let's say, for this, because those work. Clearly, money makes people act or inspires people to act. How would that work for, say, Russia, though? I doubt they're going to pay us a tax. And if they're just paying the tax to themselves, or China, for example, you know? Yeah,
like who would actually instill this tax?
So all that tax money just goes to the president as a bonus? Like what? You know, because in, like, let's say a communist state, how that stuff works is quite a bit different than a capitalist state. So
here it says, for an orbital use fee an orbital use fee approach to work,
there you go.
The researchers found all countries launching satellites would need to participate, and that's about a dozen that launch satellites on their own launch vehicles, and more than 30 that own the satellites.
So
we're really good at getting a whole bunch of different countries to come together. And
that's what I'm saying. That's a joke. That's like saying all we have to do to solve climate change is get every single country in the world to agree. Yeah, no, never going to happen.
Well, it says here countries use similar approaches already in carbon taxes and fisheries management.
Carbon
we don't talk enough
taxes
about fisheries management on this channel, you know?
I would love to learn more. Carbon taxes are fascinating, though. Canada has one, which is crazy. And yeah, it's fascinating how it works. But
so my uninformed opinion here is I feel like I mean, even though the number of satellites that are going up is increasing quite a bit still, I think that they are already, it's understood that this is a problem. I mean, because it's against their own interest that they're going to have satellites up there to create a bunch of space junk that could destroy their satellites, you know? So it's in their best interest to bring them down when they're done. And I think there's already like standards in place to do that. But, and plus there's like 20,000 pieces of space junk up there already that, you know, don't have, I mean, they can't come down on their own because they don't have any propulsion or anything. So we're going to have to go and get them and do something with them. So I
have an answer for that.
Okay.
It was a tweet that I posted, and so I'm trying to find it. How would I don't know how to use Twitter.
Live tweeting.
Okay. Problem solved. The USS Portland, a warship home-ported at Naval Base San Diego, America's finest naval base for all you other naval bases out there, has successfully tested a new high-energy laser that can destroy aircraft mid-flight.
I saw this on G.I. Joe.
That's what we need in the world. And there's a photo here. I can't share it, but if you just search USS Portland laser, I'm sure you'll find it.
If you put the link in the chat, I could probably open it.
Okay, yeah, here, let me drop that there, because you guys, it's the most sci-fi nonsense you've ever seen. I mean, it's literally...
Oh my God, that picture.
Yeah, it's a great picture, isn't it? So I'll describe it. So the whole image is red. I believe they shot this at night, and you just see like a little warship with what looks like a sci-fi laser shooting off of it. I imagine they're hitting the tomato out there that all the guys go practice shoot at, but
I feel like the Knight Rider music should be playing underneath when you watch that.
Isn't that nuts? So there you go. So you deploy one of these into space, or how about we build one on the moon? High energy laser on the moon, space debris begone. No
Just
more.
Don't miss.
Or do, and then call it a whoopsie, oopsie.
Do you see the sharks with lasers over here?
Yeah, it's the sharks with lasers. It's essentially what it is, yeah. It looks like Cyclops from X-Men, like just blasting something off. So there you go.
Oh, there.
Why don't they just do that?
I don't know. Actually, you know, I mean, that there's some theories or some plans to do something like that. Maybe not like that kind of laser, but a laser in space that can just kind of zap just enough,
just to push it.
Yeah, down in the atmosphere. I don't think it's undoable.
Right. Yeah. Could you do it from here to? No, I guess it only pushes. There's not like a tracking
beam. Tracking beam?
Like a focused laser magnet. You know what I mean? Like I just want to pull that thing towards me, not just like in general magnetic field.
Yeah.
Which I don't know enough about how that works to make it happen. So it's not going to happen.
So Tim isn't here to respond to that. He probably would have had something else to say about it. But I mean, I just kind of feel like the industry is already aware of the problem and they're taking steps to correct for it. I think there's already, you know, kind of standards on when you launch that you got to have an exit strategy of sorts of how to bring down the satellite once it's done. I don't know that a tax is necessary, but anyway, my concern is that it would stifle an industry that's growing right now. You know, like we've kind of got like a space infrastructure finally starting to happen, and I wouldn't want that to be stymied because there's like all this extra cost involved.
Right. You tax things you don't want. I fully believe in that system called Pigouvian. I forget how to say it, but it's this economist came up with this concept of like the general idea is if you want to disincentivize a behavior, you tax it. Think about cigarettes here in the U.S., taxed to death. Things like that, because you don't want people to smoke and whatever. So
you don't want them to smoke to death.
Yeah, there you go. Well, but this is funny because this is why there's, and I'm with this argument of we should eliminate payroll and corporate income tax entirely, because those are things you want. You want people to make money. You want companies to make money. The things you don't want are the Johnson & Johnsons or BPs or whomever to spill, gazillions gallons of oil in the Gulf. You don't want that. So we need to use taxes as a way to disincentivize the behavior that has a larger impact on the rest of the world, such as polluting the environment. And then things like we do want people to do, like, start new businesses, pay people more, spend more money, things like that. You remove as much as you can taxes on that. So the idea there, and I think Ronald Reagan's economic chief came up with this idea of like, you create a carbon tax that taxes the hell out of these businesses that just kill our planet. And then you remove the taxes from the other side. So, there's more money for people here, and then it incentivizes these companies to shift, and then whatever. But lots of complex things and ways to think about that. But yeah, that concept, huh?
You believe in taxes, Trotsky?
Yeah, that's right.
It's all theft.
Tax the wealthy. Let's just tax Jeff Bezos, and then we'll have money for everything. Come on.
Okay, so what was the thing that was kind of trending for a while about him being the first trillionaire?
Yeah, I don't know, because he's not anywhere close to it.
No,
right?
He's not anywhere close to it. I mean,
he's like 100 billion, maybe. Or
I think he's like 150 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting closer, but the trillion, that's. I guess somebody like just put it in an article, and so of course it started trending, and everybody started, getting angry about it and saying like, we don't need trillionaires. It's like, well, we don't have one. He's pretty far away from it, but.
Yeah, 145 billion, Google tells me.
Ooh, I was close.
Yeah, that's funny. That's like, I don't know, like I'm a multi-thousandaire. Does that make me almost a millionaire? Right?
I did see somebody though, I mean, just to put it into perspective, it was like, if you made a 6-figure salary, if you made $100,000 a year, it would take like 7,000 years to make as much money as Jeff Bezos.
Oh, yeah, well.
I mean,
that's why you got to work smarter, people. That's why you got to start a business. That's why that 9 to 5 is a rat race that you'll never escape. I'm telling you.
But he's still able to stay. Here's what I don't get. How come all these people are turning against Bill Gates during this COVID thing and saying that he's, using 5G cell towers
and bats. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. How is everybody hating on Bill Gates, but Jeff Bezos is getting away scot-free, and he's making more money now than he ever has before? I mean, Amazon is just killing it.
Wasn't that? I think someone just made that up, man. There was a thing that was a fake photo I saw of Bill Gates doing a presentation, presumably, to heads of state about how to control the population by creating a pandemic. And like on the screen, there's a bat with a laser.
Legit.
And people believed it.
Yeah.
People believe this crap. That's like.
No, here's what Bill Gates did. 5 years ago, he did a TED Talk about the possibility of a pandemic. And it's disturbing how accurate he was about it.
Right.
And so in a logical world, people would say, oh, this guy knew what he was talking about. Maybe we should listen to him. But we don't live in that world. We live in the world where people say, oh, clearly he did the virus.
Yeah.
And told everybody about it 5 years beforehand, because that's what supervillains do.
Because he needs it. Like, what is the motivation?
Yeah.
Like, why? I would understand if, and I mean, clearly this has happened where people create a crisis that they have the only solution for. Yes, fine. But at that scale, and what is his motivation? Why? Yeah. What to make more money? Like, I think people, and I see this out there, like people think that money, okay. So like at some point in everyone's life, or on your path to becoming Bill Gates or whatever, money no longer is the motivation for things. It is not at all what drives. I mean, even when I was in corporate America, I hit this point where like I remember I got a raise and I didn't even know because I hadn't even been looking at my check for so long. And my boss told me after the fact. It wasn't like, hey, congrats. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's how it was. It was like, oh, we just gave you this big raise. I'm like, oh, all right. Like, I'm not going to go buy more stuff. I'm not going to get a bigger house. I'm not going to play that game and dig myself deeper. It was The Incredibles, right? It was funny. We have some friends that like have been, having financial troubles and stuff, as I'm sure a lot of people are. And they keep talking about like buying something to go do this other thing right now. And I'm like, if you want to get out of a hole, you got to put down the shovel. So accumulating more debt when you're in debt is not how you get out. That's not the way that's not the way back. But at some point, when you figure a lot of those little, things about life out, money is no longer what drives your motivation. It's like, cool, yeah, it's nice to have. And for somebody that hasn't reached that point, I can understand how that sounds like completely tone deaf, and I hate you for saying that. But that's the truth, is you hit a point where money isn't the thing that drives you. Bill Gates at that point, like before I was born, right? Like it was like the 80s, and the dude was like on top of the world with money. So clearly, what the hell why would he care about money now? It's the dumbest argument,
Well, and he donated $500 million towards creating a vaccine. So of course people assume that that's because he's going to put microchips in it so that he can track you, and because you can't be tracked on your phone that you're carrying around with you everywhere you're going.
Right. Yeah, it's such a mess.
Everybody
internet
just has the conspiracy mindset. It's just, and it's always some vague notion of they want to control us. From flat earthers to anti-COVID to anti-vaxxers and stuff. It's always just like they want to control us, and it's like
you're already.
You don't think they're already controlling you?
Yeah.
You don't understand your own mind very well if you don't think you're actually being controlled.
I'm not going to let them control us. Oh, hey, can we continue these conversations later? I have to go to work for 9 hours. Oh, and you can call me at 12:15 because that's when I am allowed to use my phone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Dude,
well,
what?
And so, but even when you talk about like money not being a motivator anymore past a certain point, I agree with you. Even Bezos at $145 billion, I'm sure he's not like, I need another $5 billion so I can, get that kidney surgery or something. No, he's, in his mind, it's, I can make the world a better place with all this, all these resources and all this wealth. That's why he wants to create O'Neill cylinders up in space to prolong humanity and give us, and that's the same idea of Elon. He wants to get us to Mars. So if a comet hit Earth, we would be able to survive. And
I know people don't like him, but Zuckerberg was the exact same way. I could tell you when I worked at Facebook, we would have these town halls every week with him, and sometimes there'd be not many people there. It'd be 30 people in Zuck in a room, and his thing was always. Now I'll agree that it was naive, but it was the more connected the world is, the better it will be. Like it was a strong, deep belief that humans are good. Is where it came from. And if you connected everyone and let people share information and opinions, people can disagree, but we're all good humans and we all want the best for everyone else. And that is beautiful. But you know what I mean? Like that was the root of Facebook, of why do this. And yeah, I mean, and I still believe that everyone there, like that was very much, maybe not everyone, but the nature of that was that's what they were after. But it was just extremely naive looking back,
And it's actually really fascinating that especially I guess him, they believed it so hard that even as all the evidence was pointing to the contrary, as time went on, they just kept believing it and pushing it. And yeah, well,
like the Cambridge Analytica thing, if you watched his testimony, I thought it was funny because they were like, they stole our data, they stole user data from our platform and violated our policies. We contacted them. They said they deleted it. Sure. Are you kidding me?
And you're
nothing
like,
gets deleted. Cool, right, yeah, okay, controversy over.
Yeah, but they said they got rid of it.
Yeah, they told me. You mean there's bad people in the world? What? I mean, that's kind of the like. Yeah, that's why I always look at those things as kind of odd when you're like, I mean, people paint Zuck as this like malicious, evil guy. I'm like, I don't. Of all the interactions I've had with him, I never got that at all. I mean, it more was just optimism. It was blind optimism is more what it was, Yeah.
Well, he's an alien, so he doesn't really understand people that well.
That's right. He is Data from Star Trek. So
yeah.
Give him that.
Well, is that all we got?
That's it. What else? What's coming on Monday on The Answers with Joe?
What do I have coming on Monday? Oh, yeah. So I'm doing a video on eyeball planets. Do you know what eyeball planets are?
Mm-hmm.
So the TRAPPIST-1 system was discovered around the star TRAPPIST-1. There were 7 planets, and I think they were all considered to be eyeball planets. But an eyeball planet is basically a tidally locked planet, kind of like our moon. The way the moon, the same side faces us all the time.
Yeah.
A tidally locked planet is the same side facing the sun all the time. And I basically go into whether or not life could exist there, what that would look like, what kind of terrain you might find on an eyeball planet. And there's also the possibility that in a future interstellar humanity, we might like seek out a red dwarf star and an eyeball planet to live on so that we could like survive the end of, our solar system.
Well, I kind of wonder about that because like if it's tidally locked, that means one side of the planet is warm and one side is cold forever. I mean, would one side of the planet not freeze and get so heavy that eventually it would actually shift? You know what I mean?
Look at you.
The weight of it. See, we talked about it. I like planets and stars and stuff. Okay, I know people give me crap for not knowing much about spaceflight, but yeah, planets.
Yeah, that comes up. That comes up in the video. Well, they talk about the reason why you get that tidal locking, or one of the reasons, is because there's a slight bulge in the mass of the planet. Like it just favors one side a little bit more. But like you just said, if enough ice were to build up on the other side of it, then that mass would shift. And the whole planet would spin around, and I mean, imagine the chaos that would cause if you were living on a place like that.
You die, right? It would just,
be bad.
Fling you off or something.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because we've been watching these with my son. We've been watching a lot of these like how the dinosaurs died, which I keep watching it. I'm like, we don't know that. No. I like it was diet. No, but it was coronavirus. I knew it. But one of the things they were talking about was how the magnetosphere on Earth, the poles will flip.
Yeah.
And it's every, a couple 100,000 years or something, right? Yeah. So has that happened in human history? Do we know? And can we predict it? And what would happen? This is a Joe Scott video.
A little bit. Yeah. Actually, I'm surprised I haven't done a video on that yet. From what I've heard, it's really not a big deal. Like it doesn't cause mass extinctions or anything.
But you're like, compass would be like, oh, north is now that way.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, basically. I mean, you'd have to...
Planes would be like, oh, let's go. All of a sudden, we're turning left. You're like, wait, we're supposed to turn right. What's happening?
Well, the magnetic North Pole has moved quite a bit in the last several decades. Yeah, I mean, I think it's normal. But I don't. The only thing might be that it might screw up our radiation shield around the planet and allow more radiation to come down.
That's dangerous.
But it would only last for a short amount of time and then go back to normal. I don't think that there's been a lot of like extinctions that have been.
But what's a short amount of time in Earth time?
I don't know. I don't have.
Because that could be like a millennia. You know.
I might have to do it.
I think that's an interesting topic. Yeah, that's cool. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, one of my favorite books is the Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. The latest Neil deGrasse. Love that stuff. Super geeked on it.
What about you?
Model Y delivery video.
And how disappointing it was, and
I sound like such a hater, but I'm trying to be just like, it's harder for me to peel off the blinders that I had, the bias that I have, right? Yeah. And I could tell at the there were 4 other cars that are being delivered at the same time, and there were people that were very clearly like totally lost at what the hell was going on. And they had, one of them, they had a red Model X they were picking up. And I'm just like, oh God, like I'm just going to go over there and spend an hour with these guys because they need to know some stuff, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they could do a better job, I guess is my point. And for me, it was fine, but clearly this would not be a good experience for someone else right now. And I wouldn't be shocked if I talked to anyone at Tesla that's in charge of this, which we have no idea who those people are, but whoever that is, if that's not ideal for them either. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, yeah, COVID, It's a thing. So we can't, this is like ideally not how we would do it either. I'm sure is what they would say, but I mean, I just got to share the realness about it, you know what I mean? And not like sugarcoat it, because there's too much sugarcoating of Tesla stuff in the world already. We don't need more of it.
Everything's all sticky. It's so covered with sugar.
So that is it.
You got your music to
Let's
to
do
play
it.
us out?
We'll see you guys in our ludicrous future.
Sure.
Turn it off.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching and for listening. We really do appreciate it. We couldn't do it without you.
Yeah, and if you want more of us, you can consider becoming a Patreon member where you can get early access to episodes. You can listen to us record live, join our awesome Discord community, or get your name in the show credits.
So head over to olfpod.com/Patreon to learn more. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.